the September 11th attack against the United States. Every one of the world's great and not so great powers has competed under the umbrella of the subsequent U.S.-led military and intelligence response, some trying to support it, some trying to undermine it, and some just putting in an appearance. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which includes North America and Western and Central Europe, sent tens of thousands of soldiers there for more than 10 years. The tensions between Russia and NATO played themselves out over the Hindu Kush. With the destruction of much of the agricultural economy and continual insecurity, Afghanistan became the world's leading producer of opium and its derivatives, linking the country to the global market for narcotics and providing cash incomes that armed groups could tax. Therefore, after 9/11, which was directed by a Saudi, Osama bin Laden, planned by a Pakistani Kuwaiti, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, and carried out by 15 Saudis, along with some citizens of the United Arab Emirates, Egypt, and Lebanon, there was a broad international consensus to intervene in Afghanistan, destroy al-Qaeda, remove the Taliban, Persian and Pashto plural of student in Arabic, authorities who had hosted it, and establish an internationally approved government there. Do the United States and other countries have an obligation to help Afghanistan? No one knows how many people died in the fight, first against the Soviet Union, in the civil war that followed, the expansion of and resistance to the Taliban, and the war since 2001. The estimates for the anti-Soviet war alone start at 1 million and rise from there. Millions became refugees, and millions more were internally displaced. Afghans sacrificed their livelihoods, their education, and their health. They often feel that the world, the West specifically, and the U.S. even more so, owes them a debt for these sacrifices. A young Afghan I met in Kunduz in January 1996 was disappointed at how little help Afghanistan was getting after all its sacrifices. Perhaps I should have just offered my sympathies, but instead I warned him that arguments about moral obligation would not get him anywhere in international politics, not only because people might not be convinced, but because leaders respond to the demands of their own interests and those of their state and people, rather than to moral obligations formulated for them by others. The young man in question, Amrullah Saleh, later became Afghanistan's intelligence chief. The gap between obligation and action was greatest in the years right after the Soviet withdrawal, when the international community effectively abandoned Afghanistan. The country and its people received no aid other than a modest amount of humanitarian assistance, and there was no effort to make peace. Now the U.S. and its international partners have tried to do all of those things, albeit ineffectively, and are giving some priorities over the others. They have incurred obligations to Afghans who have worked with them, whose expectations they raised, and who might now be in danger. The U.S. government and international organizations, however, have inevitably acted in their own interests, and have often proven wasteful and ineffective in providing such assistance, which means that the debt will most likely remain unpaid. How does the situation in Afghanistan affect its neighbors? In a 1907 agreement, Britain and Russia demarcated Afghanistan's current borders to isolate that country from those two empires, and also insulate those empires from each other. At the intersection of 4 regions, Afghanistan borders on South Asia, Pakistan, including areas of pre-1947 Kashmir claimed by India, Central Asia, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan, the Middle East or Persian Gulf, Iran, and East Asia, China. The border with China, only 57 miles, 92 kilometers long, is at the eastern edge of a narrow corridor of land.